Right now, you are emotionally tired, not because you hate people, but because you have been giving too much to those who barely value your presence. You reply quickly, you check on people, you make time for them, you stay loyal even when they become distant, and somehow, you still end up feeling forgotten, ignored, emotionally unimportant, because the truth is, you became too available for people who only appreciate you temporarily. Jesus is saying, my child, stop giving unlimited access to people who give you limited respect. Because not everyone who receives your energy deserves your energy. Some people only come close when they need comfort, attention, validation, or emotional support, but when you need consistency, effort, or care in return, they disappear, and over time, that imbalance slowly drains your spirit. Jesus says, my child, love should not feel one-sided constantly. You were not created to chase people endlessly. You were not created to beg for attention. You were not created to constantly prove your value to emotionally unavailable people, and yet, you kept overextending yourself, answering immediately, while they ignored you for days, prioritizing them, while they treated you as an option, making excuses for disrespect, because you feared losing the connection. But slowly, you began losing your peace instead. Jesus is saying, my child, stop abandoning yourself to maintain relationships that dishonor you. Because healthy relationships do not require emotional exhaustion to survive. Real people make effort consistently, real love creates peace, real connection values your presence naturally, and if someone only notices you when it benefits them, that is not genuine care. That is convenience. Jesus says, my child, stop confusing temporary attention with genuine appreciation. At this stage, you must learn something powerful. Your availability is valuable, your time is valuable, your emotional energy is valuable, and not everyone deserves unlimited access to it, because when you constantly overgive to people who underappreciate you, you teach them that your presence has no boundaries. Jesus is saying, my child, boundaries protect your peace, not your ego. So stop chasing people who repeatedly ignore your worth. Stop over-explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Stop making yourself emotionally available for those who only show up occasionally, because what is truly meant for you will meet your effort equally, will respect your energy consistently, will appreciate your heart genuinely. Jesus says, my child, choose relationships where your presence is valued, not tolerated. And once you fully understand your worth, you stop overextending yourself, you stop begging for attention, you stop settling for emotional crumbs, because now, you realize your peace matters too. Jesus is saying, my child, protect your energy carefully. Not everyone deserves full access to your heart. If you are ready to stop being available for people who ignore your worth, type Amen and protect your peace today. Now, you begin seeing the pattern clearly, not just isolated moments, but repeated behavior. Jesus is saying, my child, pay attention to consistency, not occasional attention. One of the first signs is this: they only contact you when they need something, when they feel lonely, need emotional support, need attention, or need comfort temporarily. But when you need them, they suddenly become unavailable, busy, distant, and over time, the relationship becomes emotionally one-sided. Jesus says, my child, genuine connection does not only appear during convenience. Another sign: they give inconsistent effort. Some days they make you feel important, other days they disappear completely. And this inconsistency keeps you emotionally confused, because you keep hoping the caring version of them will stay permanently. But temporary effort is not the same as genuine commitment. Jesus is saying, my child, inconsistency creates attachment through confusion. Another sign: You constantly make excuses for their behavior, you ignore disrespect, minimize disappointment, and convince yourself that they're just busy every time they neglect you, because part of you fears losing them, but slowly, you begin losing your self-respect instead. Jesus says, "My child, stop normalizing emotional neglect." Another sign, the relationship drains more energy than it gives back. You overthink constantly, wait anxiously for replies, question your importance repeatedly, and instead of feeling emotionally safe, you feel emotionally unstable, because unhealthy attachment often creates anxiety instead of peace. Jesus is saying, "My child, love should not leave you constantly exhausted." At this stage, you may realize something painful: you were overvaluing people who were only partially investing in you. You kept giving full access to people offering temporary attention, and because your heart was sincere, you kept hoping they would eventually change. But listen carefully: potential is not commitment, occasional kindness is not consistency, temporary attention is not genuine love. Jesus says, "My child, stop accepting crumbs while praying for real connection." Because the right people will not treat your presence like an option, they will value your time, respect your effort, protect your feelings, and show up consistently, without needing to be chased constantly. Jesus is saying, "My child, choose people who appreciate your heart naturally." So stop forcing relationships that survive only through your effort. Stop chasing people who repeatedly show limited emotional investment. Stop making yourself emotionally available to those who only appear when convenient, because your peace, your energy, and your emotional well-being deserve protection too. Jesus says, "My child, recognize the pattern before it continues hurting your spirit." If you are ready to stop accepting one-sided effort, type Amen and begin protecting your peace. Now, you finally see the truth clearly. You recognize the imbalance, the inconsistency, the emotional exhaustion that kept draining your spirit quietly. But even after realizing all this, part of you still struggles to let go, because attachment does not disappear instantly, especially when your heart was genuine. You became attached to the memories, the hope, the potential of what the relationship could have been. And releasing that attachment feels painful at first, but listen carefully. Jesus is saying, "My child, healing begins when you stop feeding unhealthy attachment." The first step is this: stop chasing reassurance from inconsistent people, because people who truly value you do not repeatedly leave you confused about your importance. And the more you seek validation from emotionally inconsistent people, the more emotionally dependent you become. Jesus says, "My child, their repeated behavior already gave you the answer." The second step: create emotional distance, not only physically, but mentally too. Stop replaying old conversations constantly. Stop checking their social media repeatedly. Stop imagining future scenarios with people who cannot meet you emotionally in the present, because every time you reconnect mentally, you reopen emotional wounds again. Jesus is saying, "My child, you cannot heal while continuously revisiting what hurt you." The third step: return your focus to yourself, your peace, your goals, your healing, because for too long, your emotional state depended on them. Their attention controlled your mood, their inconsistency controlled your emotions, their validation controlled your confidence. But now, you must reclaim your emotional power. Jesus says, "My child, stop abandoning yourself to keep unavailable people close." At first, detachment feels lonely. You may miss them deeply, feel tempted to reach out again, wonder if they will finally change, and that emotional battle is normal. But every day you choose peace over attachment, you grow stronger emotionally, more grounded spiritually, more aligned with healthy love. Jesus is saying, My child. Every step away from emotional confusion brings you closer to emotional peace. Because one day, you will experience relationships where effort flows naturally, where communication feels safe, where consistency exists without begging, where you feel emotionally secure, not emotionally exhausted, and when that day comes, you will finally understand why this painful attachment had to end. Jesus says, "My child. Let go of one-sided love, you deserve peace too." If you are ready to emotionally detach and protect your peace, type Amen and continue healing forward.